Quick question. Have you ever EQ'd something like forever and you still couldn't get it to feel right? Like you're sweeping across the spectrum and doing this and that, but you can't quite shape the sound the way you want it. What if I told you the secret is hidden in our ears? Today I want to talk about a concept that's rarely mentioned, but your ears absolutely know about. It's called the bark scale. And once you understand it, it'll turbocharge your mastery over timbre. And then I'll show you our Bark 24 Dyn plugin, which is based around this bark scale. So first things first, the bark scale is not another EQ curve. Instead, it's a model of how humans actually hear frequencies. We usually talk about frequency in terms of hertz. 10 hertz, 100 hertz, 1K, 10K, etc., etc. Parametric EQs sweep across the spectrum. Graphic EQs typically split the frequencies by 1/3 octaves. But here's a problem. Your ears don't hear frequencies in neat and even chunks like that. In some ranges, such as the high mids, where speech lives, your hearing has very high resolution. In other ranges, such as the very high or very low, your hearing has lower resolution. The frequency bands in the bark scale match these uneven resolutions in human hearing. Specifically, each band's width reflects what we perceive to be a chunk of frequencies that's distinct from the neighboring bands. This also means that each band, even though they might actually have very different widths, are all perceived by our ears to have the same weight. So how can these characteristics help audio production? Traditional frequency-based processes deal with frequencies in numbers, right? But actually, we all experience sound perceptually. And unfortunately, these two things don't match. And this is why a 3 dB boost here might sound like nothing, while a half dB boost somewhere else might change everything. So why not work with tools that are already set up to fit our perception? And this brings us back to Bark 24 Dyn. This plugin splits the audio into 24 bark bands, which each correspond to those perceptual chunks that we just talked about. Because each bark band sounds like a distinctive chunk of frequencies to our ear and don't interfere with neighboring bands, each adjustment feels very immediate and noticeable. In practice, this makes bark scale processors such as the Bark 24 Dyn excellent at shaping your timbre. The bark scale has actually been around for decades in psychoacoustics, but it really hasn't been taken advantage of in audio production until now. Plugins like the Bark 24 Dyn are part of a bigger shift, designing tools around human perception and not just signal math. So if you've ever been frustrated with EQing, or even if you're a master at it, I highly recommend that you try bark band timbre sculpting. All right, that's it for now. Bye. All right, the obligatory PSA. Head on over to fskaudio.io to grab a free trial. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell for more news, tips, and tricks. All right, there we go. Bye.